Up to page 201. We discussed yesterday about having a white talit. Today we're going to be speaking about what you can make a talit out of. We mentioned the wool is the best form of making a talit. And we also mentioned that linen is one of the ways you can make it out of real linen. Yesh omrim she'en la'asot talit shel pishtan. Maran says on the top of the page, some say that you should not make a talit out of pishtan, out of linen.
Extra.
Why? What's the reasoning? Do you know? Should not. You can, but you shouldn't.
Shouldn't make out of linen, you're saying?
Yes. The reason, I'll tell you.
Linen is a dead plant, whereas wool comes from a live sheep. Is that something?
Okay, there could be that there's some deeper meaning behind it. Remember, you're supposed to be tying your tzitziot out of the same material that the talit is made out of, or out of wool. Now, if you tie wool tzitzit to a linen article of clothing, what is that called? Shatnez. Okay, very good. Now, we mentioned that the Torah allows you to wear shatnez. Meaning, if you're allowed to wear wool on your linen clothing, or vice versa, wool strings on your linen clothing, if you have a Kehillat string inside of your tzitzit. Yes, we mentioned the first halakha we did together in this Siman.
Yeah.
The first class. That Kehillat inside of the tzitziot allows you to tie a wool string onto a linen article of clothing.
And why? Bypass shatnez.
Very good. Why? Let's look it up. We mentioned it there. You guys remember?
Well, it said it's woven together, but not...
Yeah, we had a...
But I think there's different opinions.
The Kehillat doesn't exist, because you can't trace it, so therefore we have to have wool talits.
Yeah, but you have to say the bracha again after that. It's interesting that Korach used this issue of Kehillat and Talesim to Talitot to fight Moshe Rabbeinu.
Right.
That was his famous argument. It was on page 189 that we mentioned it. Our Chazal say that the reason the mitzvah of tzitzit, the next mitzvah in the Torah, is the mitzvah of shatnez. To tell you that the exception to shatnez is in the laws of tzitzit. That's what our rabbis received in the tradition from Moshe Rabbeinu. Now this is only if you fulfill tzitzit with all of its stringencies, which would mean having tchelet. The moment you don't have tchelet, you're no longer allowed to tie wool tzitzit onto pishtim clothing.
Well, we don't today.
Yes.
So that means for many years people were not doing that until the Kehillat was...
Wait, very good. Wait, Zev, you're bringing up something you don't even know you're bringing up. And because of this, we were worried that people would put wool tzitziot onto pishtim clothing, on linen clothing, and therefore some rabbis said, listen, it's just better to stay away.
Right.
Don't make linen tzitziot, articles of clothing. Fine. Now today, there are some rabbis that say, listen, we believe this might be the real Kehillat. The reason we don't want to give it a chance is we're afraid that in a generation or two, everybody will think this is the real Kehillat. They won't know that maybe some rabbis disagreed, and then you'll come to find that people are tying wool tzitzit with Kehillat onto linen clothing. These are those kind of chashashot. These are doubts that are so far removed from reality that we don't have to really take them into consideration.
One good thing about it is that they're thinking of a future generation.
Oh, okay, good. So it's a forward-thinking mentality.
They're not just thinking of themselves; they're thinking about how we'll be served 100 years from now.
And that's important. You're right. That's important. But for right now, I would love to dream of a world where all the Jews got together and forgot something. But I doubt. There's always going to be the movement for the liberation of tzitziot from fake tchel. There's always going to be some kind of non-profit like that going on.
You had those two types of Kehillat just a few weeks ago.
Very good.
Very interesting. It's like this one came up with a whole logic and found something to make the Kehillat from,
even if it wasn't
right.
If it wasn't accurate.
Right.
V'af says Maran, v'af al pi she'en halakha ken. Even though the halakha is not like this opinion, I mean, you can make tzitziot out of linen if you want to. Yarei HaShamayim yetzeh et kulam. Maran says in this situation, someone who has yirat shamayim, a real fear of heaven, should try to make all the opinions happy in this scenario. V'oseh talit shel tzemer echelim. He should make wool tzitziot, shu chayav b'tzitzit min haTorah bli pikpuk, because according to all opinions, wool is the biblical way to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit. The Ramah comes to answer a different question. What if you don't have a choice? What if your only material you have is linen? So you'll make a linen tzitzit with linen strings. Should you take that opinion into consideration and not make linen tzitziot, and then not fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit? Or is it better for you to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit and make some of the rabbis unhappy?
Better.
Which one would you say?
Better to fulfill it.
Who agrees with Simcha? You
I
agree
think
with
it's better to
Simcha?
fulfill it, yeah.
Okay, this is very good. Says the Ramah, umihu, but im i'afshar rak b'talit shel pishtan. Your only choice is to have a talit made out of linen. Mutav shiyaset talit shel pishtan v'tzitzit shel pishtan. It's better to make the clothing out of linen and the strings out of linen. Mishit batel me mitzvah tzitzit. Then lose out on the mitzvah of tzitzit. This is very good. This is a good answer. And the reason is the mitzvah tzitzit is from the Torah. This doubt is a doubt it's not even really rabbinic. It's an opinion of some rabbis. And therefore, we don't take it into consideration when it comes to this halakha. And you may not have realized it, but we just finished the fastest siman we ever did together. That was Siman Tet. We're up to page 206. Mazal tov, guys.